In this training, we're going to just break down each document and how it works, why you need each document, how it operates, and then we're going to actually go through. I want to make this very clear. I worked really hard on putting together these documents for you to be successful. So my one ask is that you do not just leak these documentations to people outside the community. At the end of the day, you're just creating more competition for yourself and making it hard for you to be successful if other people are using the same resources as you. So let's just use some integrity here and use the honor system. Let's keep this inside the community. After all, you are paying to be here, so don't give away your being said. Let's just dive straight in. So this is just going to be the system overview. You can go through and read this for yourself, but just to highlight a couple important parts here, the way these prompts were created is I actually coded them myself to give you the most beneficial outcome and output for creating the copy. So it kind of goes as such. First off, all the prompts and everything that we're going to put together, the main goal here is to create really good copy, but we want to make sure we do it in a way that doesn't get you in trouble and get your ads banned. So the first step is compliance guide. So there's nothing really for you to do here. The system's going to automatically try to go through and start to set whatever niche and industry that you select. It's going to make sure it has a good understanding of what compliance is required to be on Facebook. So if you're selling a weight loss peptide or pill or something, it's going to make sure that the future copy and the messaging and the research that it does is done in a way that doesn't get you in trouble. And so that's the first thing there. So understanding of what Facebook prohibits, restricts, and allows in native story ads, a 15-item pre-launch checklist, side-by-side rewrites examples for flagged versus safe copy. So this is what the system's going to do. The first actual thing that you're going to need to do is the Gemini scraper prompt. So this is going to specifically require you to use Google Gemini to scrape Reddit forums, Facebook groups, and a whole bunch of other peer-reviewed articles and blog posts to get a good temperature check of your target audience. So this is live market intelligence scraper, pulls real customer language, competitor positioning, and market signals from 12 plus live sources. So you'll see in the trainings later on, Google Gemini is really good at getting and pulling information directly from other blog posts, Reddit posts, Quora, Facebook. I've prompted it to do all that. Now, the reason why we use Google Gemini and not Claude to do this is because Claude, at the current stand, cannot scrape information. So if I pull up a Reddit forum right now and has a bunch of people talking about hair loss, unfortunately, Claude cannot scrape that information. Gemini can. So we'll use Google Gemini only one time in this entire process. Everything else will be done on Claude. But the one thing we need Google Gemini for is pretty important in signaling that helps us understand where our product or where our mass desires are, where our avatars are in the market space. Once we do that deep scraping, we're then going to take the information and the report generated from Google Gemini, and we're going to then, from this point on, work only in Claude. We're going to take the information from Google Gemini and put it inside of our Claude project and start to actually interpretate the information. So Claude is the #1 AI tool, in my honest opinion, right now for interpretation. So ChatGPT can pull information and can give you some basic information, but Claude does a good job of understanding the information and creating context to that. So from the information we're going to do, we're just going to literally use Gemini to scrape information. Then we're going to use the first research doc A, to actually teach Claude how to take that information that it scraped, take the real customer data and the information that your customers are saying, and conceptualize it in a document that helps us understand our avatars and then also understand the market research as a whole. So it's going to transform raw Gemini data into strategic audience intelligence, the document where your 5 avatars are going to be born. And avatars are, again, people that are comprised of specific mass desires, pain points, different pain that they have, and just a whole different approach than what we've done in the past when it comes to testing. Now, also linked in this training will be what we call our universal glossary. Any word, any term, any description that I'm mentioning right now and you're not familiar with, it's being highlighted here in the glossary and you have a perfect, clear explanation. So for example, if you're not sure what an avatar is, it's actually here in the glossary. Excuse me. An avatar is a detailed profile of your ideal customer, not just demographics, right? Like they're women ages 20 to 45 or whatever, but their exact words that they use, their fears, their desires, what they've tried and what they believe. And you build 5 per product. So we want a minimum of 5 avatars, depending on how big and how much you're scaling. You can go outside of that. Some products and niches have bigger avatars, but I find that if you span too far with the 5 avatars, you're now starting to hit up avatars that are very, really niche within the audience. So 5 avatars is enough. Really, 1 avatar is enough to scale you to 1K, 5K, even 10K a day. We're just trying to find the most profitable and the best avatar for our audience in our market. Now, the best avatar doesn't always have to be the most popular one. So one of the brands I was able to scale was a U-shaped toothbrush, and the common avatar that most people go after are adults that are older with coffee stains, and they wanted whiter teeth because coffee stains cause insecurities. That is the most popular avatar in the market space at the time for the product I was selling. But the one I was able to scale with was a different avatar. It was an avatar that was adults that had children with braces. So the most popular avatar doesn't always mean it's the best one that's going to allow you to scale. Sometimes it can be that case. Sometimes it cannot be. There could be other uniquer avatars that other people have not gone after. It totally depends. There's no right or wrong answer. The only way we're going to know though is by testing. So as long as we understand those desires of the avatar that we're going after, we can create copy that speaks directly to them. And then, by the way, what is a desire? The single deepest thing your market wants, not the product, not the feature, the human emotion behind it all. It existed before the product was even invented. So assuming that person doesn't even know what the product is, they still have a desire for this particular thing, and our product is just a bridge to get them there. Another thing as well is that you hear us talk a lot about awareness levels, how much your customer already knows before seeing your ad. There are 5 levels of awareness, from totally unaware all the way to ready to buy this, which is considered product aware. And this determines what words we use, right? So there'll be about 5 different levels that we go after. The most common awareness levels will be problem and solution aware. People that are aware that they have a problem, but aren't too familiar with all the solutions out there. And then solution aware people are aware of the different types of solution. More competitive products like skincare, makeup, hair care, especially going after adults, you're going to find that a lot of those people will reside in solution aware, because nowadays everyone's advertising all the same types of products. So more than not, people are going to be aware that there's some type of hair growth solution out there that can help regrow the hair. Your job is that if I am in solution aware, how can I distinguish my product from anything else my target audience has seen? Now, it's very important to understand that awareness level is different than market sophistication. Market sophistication is how many times your customer has already seen an ad like yours, scale of 1 to 5. Level 1 is a brand new idea, nobody's seen it. Level 5 is saturated. They've tried everything and are totally skeptical. So you can be in a solution aware audience where someone already knows that there are hair growth solutions out there. But if you come across some new peptide hair growth serum that no one has ever really talked about, you can be in a solution aware audience, but have a low market sophistication because people aren't aware of that. Now, I will say that's very rare, right? There's all the products out there. A lot of them are just replicas of each other. There's no real new products that are revolutionary that no one has ever thought of before. Most products are kind of just rebranded versions of existing products. So a lot of the times you're going to deal with sophisticated markets just because ads are just a dime a dozen now. Everyone's advertising. So your market is more sophisticated because they see so many different types of ads. So a lot of people struggle when they launch their first set of products and their first set of ads because they're advertising and creating good copy, but your audience has seen ads like this already. You're not the first person to create copy and ads to them, selling them the same type of product. So what you got to get better at as time goes on, this is a skill that you have to just keep working at, is how can I be more creative in my copy? How can I find out what my audience really wants and find new, unique, creative ways to speak to them? That is the only way you're going to be able to bleed through the market and avoid those high CPMs or good ad metrics, but people aren't buying. That is very important to acknowledge. And then the rest of these you can kind of read for yourself. Another thing I need to highlight is copy angle. So a specific direction you attack a topic from in your ad. So when we create our deep research prompts and our copywriting prompts, we're going to create 5 avatars. Each avatar will have 5 angles. Now, we don't have to use all 25 total angles, but we want to just have that at our disposal. So if we need to cycle through and test a lot, we have a ton of different angles and approaches we can take. Each angle uses one of the 5 strategic frames: story, mechanism, bold, proclamation, social proof, fear, and hope. We're trying to talk to our avatar in different ways, and sometimes that's what's required. We need to hit on the same person, but in different ways to get them to buy. Another very important point here is unique mechanism. All right, the specific reason why the problem exists or why your solution works that your customer has never been told about before. So if I've been struggling with hair loss and I just chalked it up to genetics for so long, and then I maybe have tried a couple other solutions, but because my genetics were just the reason why my hair was not growing, then I'll just probably give up and whatever. But if I come up your stress, if you get your stress down, your hair will start to grow faster. That's why you need to take ashwagandha, because it lowers your cortisol levels, which naturally allows your hair to grow back more. If I were to make that paradigm shift with my audience and make an ad that says something like that, that has a way better chance of bleeding through the noise and getting someone to convert, because I'm selling them on a mechanism they've never heard of before. And people love new mechanisms. They love new strategies, right? Think about this, right? You're in this community right now learning about native image ads because you're tired of the current strategy, which might have been ripping cow data or making video ads or trying AI video ads. So new mechanisms allow you to get the same people bought into your brand and avoid the competition, because the competition isn't doing it. So there's some other frameworks and things here that we can talk about, but you can kind of read through these and kind of learn here. So that is kind of the glossary there. So back to the actual documents at hand. So research document A, which will be using Claude Opus, right? So the recommended model to use within Claude will always be tagged here at the top right hand side. So the estimated time is subjective. That's just an estimate, but relatively speaking, you're going to create a research doc. So at this point, you'll have 2 documents. You have your Google Gemini scraper document, which is just surveys the entire landscape in the field as a whole. And then this is your second document, which will be research document A, which creates your avatars and allows you to deeply understand your markets. Research document B is going to be focused on aligning the avatars you just generated and the product that you sell and having them to come together. So one of the mistakes in the past with the deep research documents we had before is that we didn't do the best job. I did do the best job creating the prompts and allowing them to work in congruency. So you'd create a document and then it would go off and find its information. Then you create another document and then we didn't really map them two together. So it couldn't build context and it didn't have congruency throughout the documentation. So this document is really important. This is the opportunity for you to take a look at your product and see where it shines. What about your product is good, unique? What about your product stands out versus the competitors in the market space? Think about creatine, right? Most creatine for the longest time has been taken as a supplement through powder and maybe even capsule form. But the first set of brands that started to sell creatine as a gummy was able to speak to the same person in a competitive market, but because the mechanism is different, it's a gummy, it's easier to chew and take, and it tastes really nice. Now they can lean in on what makes them special and lean in on that in their copy and their marketing. So if you've ever wondered, how do I get people to buy from me and not other top competitors in the market space or on Amazon? It's about showing how you're different than the competition and leaning in on that and making that the main reason why the problem that the person's having won't be solved unless they have your particular product, because your mechanism is different than what everyone else is selling. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a product and market positioning document that shows, okay, what are your competitors doing? Where are the gaps in the market that your competitors aren't really highlighting in their marketing? And how can you show up and leverage your specific mechanisms in your copy? And that's going to also allow you to create what we call the brand Bible. Your brand Bible will just be a compilation of everything we've done up to this point. The market understanding, your avatars, your product. It's just going to be one universal document that you can use on other LMN models. So if you wanted to take this to ChatGPT, if you want to take it to Grok, if you wanted to take it to Perplexity or any other model, if you wanted to, you could. But basically, the AI will reference this one document every single time. And this is a small detail. You'll see me, talk about it in the example. But we take something called a context block. So approved master context block. A context block is what I've designed to allow you to keep as maximum congruency as we're generating multiple documents. So the information from the previous document, we'll be able to select a portion of that and carry it over to the next document. So we have maximum congruency. We're also going to be generating all of these in the same Claude chat. So it's also going to allow Claude to be smarter as well and get as much context as well. So that's going to make us put together a pretty good bulletproof plan. So this is all your research documents. That's everything we need to do. It will be a total of 1. Put that in your Claude project and reference that whenever you need to. From there, there's only 2 other things. There's multiple other things, but these are only 2 other things left before we can actually start getting in our storytelling. So document, this is going to be document 6 technically, or document 5, I guess. But this is going to be your hook generation prompt. Now, I like when it comes to storytelling, we use Sonnet 4.6, and then depending on when you're watching this, there might be a Sonnet 4.7, Sonnet 4.8, whatever version of Sonnet is out there. Use Sonnet for storytelling and use Opus for market research and logic. So as you can see here, for the research documents, we've been using Opus, and then for the storytelling, we're going to transfer over to Sonnet. This is also going to allow you to preserve your credits as well, because we are going to be generating a lot of output, so this will help preserve credits so you're not burning through a ton of credits. I recommend you use Claude Pro, by the way. I use Claude Max because of how much I use Claude every single day, but you can settle down with Claude Pro. All right, so what we're going to do is going to generate what we call 15 hooks, targeted hooks. Each hook will be comprised into 5 frameworks and 3 variations of those 5 frameworks. So you'll see in the trainings, but we created a certain type of hook strategy that allows you to have different types of callouts or different types of ways to stop the scroll, depending on who you're speaking to. So these hooks and this entire storytelling framework and the prompts that come along with it allow you to have dynamic storytelling. So before, we'd use the same exact outline. All the community members use the exact same outline to create their stories. But every audience, every niche, every product is different and requires different strategies to talk to different types of people. So because of that, I've made it dynamic that basically the AI will use interpreted data to take an educated guess on what hook would most likely perform best for you. So remember, there's 5 frameworks. It's going to output all 15 hooks, 3 variations of each 5 framework. And it's going to, at the end, tell you, hey, based off of what we understand about your audience right now, we think this hook makes the most sense. And all this is theory at the end of the day. It's not going to know for sure. It's not going to, be 100% accurate. It's all theory based off of the information it's gathered. It's not until later down, and I'll talk about this later, that we start feeding the AI with more information that will start to get smarter and make more accurate guesses. But for now, it's all theory-based guesses. So it's going to recommend one that it basically thinks it makes the most sense off of reasoning, but we won't know for sure until we start testing. All right, so just a little frame of reference there. So that is very important to understand. And then from there, once we've established the hook and the reasoning why, we're going to go into what we call a pre-flight checklist. And the AI will ask you a series of questions before it generates your long-form copy for you. And then throughout the process, it's going to break down section by section, and it's going to allow you to read it, verify it, make sure you like it. And then from there, you can approve it and get a final report. And then you can output it and then launch your first set of ads. So very, very complex system, very complex strategy. And I'm going to show you guys, of course, how to apply all of this. And where the money is made, guys, is in feedback looping. So again, when you launch your first set of ads in your first campaign, I guarantee with 100% certainty, you're more than likely not going to get the performance you want. You're more than likely will be losing money. You more than likely would not see buying intent. That is anticipated and almost expected. What you need to do is not freak out and panic and message me and saying, yo, Alex, what should I do? Instead, what you need to do is pay attention to the rest of these trainings and in specific, understand the feedback loop ad performance strategy. What we're going to do is launch an ad, give it a few days of good, thorough spending, go back over to our documentation and let the AI know, hey, I took this strategy and this framework. It didn't perform well, or it performed well, or here's the performance. Analyze the performance and the ad and let me know what direction I need to move in next based off of my performance. And we're going to take a documentation of our ads that have flopped and the ads that are doing well, and we're going to continuously feed the AI with the updated inputs and outputs so we can get smarter and make better recommendations. It's not going to be smart until we feed it the data. And your data should not come off of 1 day of spend. It should always be in 3-day intervals, and it's going to recommend you that as well. A minimum of 3 days running before making any decisions on hook or story performance. I don't care if you spend $100. You'll see some examples later on in the training, but I've had that happen where an ad set or an ad spent nothing, or he spent money, but it got nothing for a day, for 2 days. And then day 3 comes around and starts to get some conversion. Then day 4 and day 5, and then boom, it's out of nowhere becomes my top spender. So you cannot overreact on 1 or 2 or 3 bad days worth of data. Essentially, you have to just be patient. And I want to remind you guys again and again and again, before you start messaging me and the community with a list of questions, oh, what should I do now? I don't know what I'm supposed to test. How do I fix the ads? I have a testing phase protocol training. I'm gonna refer to this training and this module every single training throughout this entire course, because I've put together this training, and I still every day get people that join in the community and they're like, yo, Alex, I launched my first set of ads. What should I do now? It's like, dude, have you gone through the rest of the course yet? You're asking what to do now, and you haven't gone through even 30% of the course. So specifically after launching your ads, I would even maybe watch this before you launch your ads, go through the testing phase protocol, what to do, your expectations, the different situations you're going to probably be faced, and what you should do to navigate them. Please, I ask you nicely to go through that, because you're going to ask questions that I already answered in these trainings. All right, so just want to emphasize that again. And then for the ads that are doing good, right, the ads that have a good metric and good performance, what we're going to do is document that as well. And again, feed the AI and say, hey, these are the metrics for my best performing ads. They look really good. Let's continue to work on making ad hooks that resemble this. And then the way to scale over time as you're spending more money is to feed the system, right? Ads can fatigue. I use that loosely, but ads can start off really well and start to underperform quickly. So it's important that we're constantly feeding the algorithm and the ad sets and the campaigns with new fresh ads every few days, right? So we'll have a system in place for that, but we call that variation protocol. And we're just funneling and feeding or stoking the fire to get more ads in the system. So Facebook can just continuously test between different ads and kind of run a tornado funnel-like effect where the same lead is seeing multiple of your ads and eventually converting over time. All right, so at the end of this right here, this is a quick reference of the different process and system, the description of everything, kind of organized and color coded to make it really look good. You have some more explanations and questions, frequently asked questions. Do I have to complete the entire research phase before writing any hooks? How long does the full research phase take? Do I need to redo the research phase for every new story? Like all your FAQs are answered here. You have a glossary of all your keywords and phrases that I've alluded to so far. So everything on the system overview is a quick synopsis of everything you need to pay attention to. All right, so now let's actually start getting into launching the system.